Today's lesson is about piecewise functions, and our goal here is going to be to write the equation of these functions. You saw a picture of them last time when we did our notes, but now we are going to work more with them in detail. Before we get more involved ones where they have multiple pieces, we're going to start by just doing one little section and see if we can kind of baby step our way into this. So there's two things that we have to do. The first thing is that we have to write the domain. In the domain, we are going to write as a compound inequality, or just as an equality if that's a better situation. So as I'm looking at my graph, I can see that this first line starts at -5. And I can see that it ends at +5. So as I write my inequality, it's going to be all the numbers in between -5 and 5. So when I write this, I can write it like this. Now these less than symbols means everything leading up to but not including. But if I look at +5, that's a closed dot, so it includes 5. So I'm going to put the line under it. That is my domain. Now I need to write the equation. And when I write the equation, instead of writing y equals, I'm going to write f of x equals. Now, these lines where they're just straight, they confuse people more than any other lines, but they're the easiest ones to write. Because any time we have a horizontal line, it's always going to be y equals a number, and it's the number where it crosses the y-axis. So y equals 7. So that's telling us that the points on this line are all the points where y equals 7. So f of x equals 7. And there's our equation. All right, let's try this again on the second one. So first we're going to focus on the domain. So the domain is in between -1 and 9. And I put less than or equal to because I have closed dots. I would have done just less than if I had open circles. Okay, now I need to write my equation. So my equation is going to be f of x. And when it's a horizontal line, it's always y equals the number of where it crosses the y-axis, which would be -4. That's it. Okay. Now the next couple, we're going to have to work harder to get the equation, but the domain is just as easy. So the domain, where does it start? Well, it starts at -6. That's a closed circle, so it's less than or equal to x, which is less than 3. Now, I did less than because it was an open circle. And I should point out, when you're writing the compound inequality, you always have to write from left to right, and it's always a less than symbol. So I look at my graph from the left to the right. Okay, writing the equation. Well, to write the equation, we need it to end up in slope-intercept form. And slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. But to get there, we're going to start in point-slope form, which is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So, first, we need to pick a point. And second, we need to count the slope. Okay, so if I'm looking at this equation here on the number 3, when you go to pick a point, you cannot pick wrong. As long as the point is on your line, you are good to go. Okay, so I'm going to pick this point right here, and this point is -6, -4. Okay, and then I'm going to count my slope. And to get my slope, I have to count from one point to another. Well, if I look over here, it doesn't cross a line. That's not very helpful. So what I'm going to count is I'm going to count from here to here. So I'm going to go 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3. So my slope is 2/3. Okay, now to be able to write this in slope-intercept form. Okay, I'm first going to put it in point-slope form, which is going to be y minus y1, which is -4, equals my slope, 2/3, times x minus x1, which is 6. Minus a negative is plus a positive. So when I simplify this, I get y plus 4 equals, I'm going to distribute 2/3 x plus, okay, here's a shortcut. I'm going to take this 6 here, divide it by the number on the bottom. 6 divided by 3 is 2, times the 2 on top, and I get 4. I'm not in slope-intercept form yet. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, and I get y equals 2/3 x plus 0. Oh, so 0 is the y-intercept. Could I have figured out 0 was the y-intercept from the get-go? Absolutely. Some of these are going to tell you right away what the y-intercept is, and so you can go straight to this form. Some of them are not, and when they don't, you're going to have to go to point-slope form first. But we're going to keep practicing. Don't worry. Let's look at number 4. So on number 4, my domain is from -8 to -2. Both are open circles, so both are less than symbols. Okay? Now I need to write the equation. So first I'm going to pick the point. I can pick any point that I want to that's on the line. How about this one? -2, 2. Now I need to find my slope. So to find my slope, I'm going to count it off the graph. And I count from left to right. So it goes down 1, 2, and over 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, it's -2 because it went down over 4. But -2 over 4 reduces to 1/2, right? So my slope is going to be -1/2. Now to write my equation. I'm going to have y minus y1, which is 2, equals my slope, -1/2, times x minus x1, which is -2. Minus a negative is plus a positive. So I get y minus 2 equals -1/2 x. Well, now I'm going to have a -1/2 times a positive 2, which is a negative. Now I need to simplify this. 2 divided by 2 is 1, times 1 is 1. Now to solve, I'm going to add 2 to both sides. So I get y equals -1/2 x plus 1. Okay? A better way to write your final answer, and I should have done it on the first run, for your final answer, write f of x equals -1/2 x plus 1, because that is how we're going to put it into our piecewise function. Okay, let's try again on number 5. So the domain is between -8 and -4. -8 is a closed circle, so it's less than or equal to x, which is less than 4. This is an open circle. To find my equation, I need a point. Okay, how about -8, -2? And I need my slope. So to find my slope, I'm going to count it off the graph. Always go left to right. So I go down 1, 2, 3, over 1, 2, 3, 4. So I went down 3 and right 4. So my slope is -3/4. Now when I write my equation, I have y minus y1, which is -2, equals my slope, -3/4 times x minus x1. Minus a negative is plus a positive. So I get y plus 2 equals -3/4 x. Now a negative times positive is a negative. 8 divided by 4 is 2, times 3 would be 6. Subtract 2 from both sides. So I'm going to write my final answer the fancy way. F of x equals -3/4 x. -6 and -2 is -8. Okay? Now, look at your graph. Doesn't it look like it's going to kind of line up with -8 anyway? Yes, so it makes sense. These should all make sense. All right, let's look at the next one. Number 6. My domain is from -8 is less than, because it's got an open circle, x, which is less than or equal to, closed circle, -6. Let's write the equation. Pick a point. How about -8, 3? Now count the slope. From the left to the right, I have to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and over 2. So it's 5 over 2. Okay, so my slope is 5/2. So when I write my equation, it's going to be y minus y1, which is 3, equals my slope, which is 5/2, times x minus x1, which is negative 8. Minus a negative is plus a positive. Y minus 3 equals 5/2 x, because remember I'm multiplying, and use our trick. 8 divided by 2 is 4, times 5 is 20. I need to add 3 to both sides, and my equation f of x equals 5/2 x plus 20. All right, let's look at these. Even though it looks different, we can still figure it out. Domain is the left side. Starts at negative 5. There's a closed dot. Oh, but it's not in between. Oh, so it starts at negative 5 and keeps going. So it's everything that's bigger than negative 5. Can we write that a different way? Yes. Everything bigger than negative 5 would be written this way. Okay, that's kind of a tricky one. Doesn't come up too much, but we'll keep practicing it. Now, we've got to write this equation. Oh gosh, what do we do? Well, think about it. What shape is it? Oh, it's a parabola. If it's a parabola, then the equation has got to be x squared. But if it was just a parabola, it would start over here at 0. But it doesn't. It got moved down 5. Oh, how could we write the equation if it gets moved down 5? We could subtract 5. So my equation is f of x equals x squared minus 5. That's it. Next one, domain. Domain is negative 10 is less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to 4. This is what your domain is going to look like this if you have a start and stop. Your domain is going to look like this if it starts and never stops. Okay, equation. Well, let's think. What shape is that? Well, that's an absolute value. Since it's an absolute value, that's the absolute value of x. But this absolute value would have been here, but it got shifted over 7 places. So it went to the left 7. Well, if it goes left or right, it's got to be inside of the absolute value. And when it's inside, it's the opposite of what we think. So it went to the left, which seems like it should be negative, but it's the opposite. It's going to be plus 7. So our equation is f of x equals x plus 7. I'm going to pause the video now, and then when you're ready, you can start part 2 of the video to start your notes, or to finish your notes.